One EastEnders star has officially confirmed his departure from the soap, just 6 weeks after making his return. Toby-Alexander Smith recently reprised his role as Gray Atkins on 29 June, but his final appearance as the character has now been broadcast. Toby-Alexander confirmed his exit on Instagram, where he posted a photo of himself sitting in the hair and makeup chair. Alongside the image, he wrote, "Well, Walford, it's been wild. Again." The announcement follows Thursday's dramatic episode, which featured a shocking stabbing inside the prison where Gray and Ian Beale are both serving time. During the past week, Ian had become involved in a revenge plot secretly arranged by Gray. Gray had manipulated Ian into inviting his former partner Chelsea to the prison, hoping she would be away from home when his grandmother Sheila attempted to take their son out of the country. However, the scheme quickly fell apart when Chelsea's relatives managed to reach the airport and prevent Sheila from leaving the country with the child. Once Gray discovered that his plan had failed, he turned against Ian, accusing him of warning the others. Gray then threatened Ian with a makeshift weapon fashioned from a toothbrush. When Ian attempted to activate the emergency button, Gray attacked him and knocked him to the ground. The two men soon became involved in a violent struggle, with Ian eventually turning the weapon against Gray and seriously injuring him. Gray was later shown to have survived the attack, although his recovery did not mean that he would remain in the show. When Toby-Alexander returned as Gray at the end of June, the BBC had already confirmed that his comeback would only be temporary. Even so, his brief return left many viewers disappointed. One fan commented, "Personally wish he would come back for good." Another wrote, "Amazing scenes tonight. Best comeback ever. Great acting between you and Adam." A third viewer added, "You play your part brilliantly and so convincing. Gutted it's only been a short stint. Wishing you all the best for your future roles." Toby-Alexander originally joined EastEnders in 2019 as businessman Gray Atkins, who was married to Chantelle Baker. His early storyline focused on domestic abuse, with the character eventually revealed to be violently mistreating his wife behind closed doors. His behavior became increasingly dangerous during lockdown and eventually led to Chantelle's death. Gray pushed her onto a dishwasher, causing her to fall onto the knives. Worried about protecting his reputation, Gray abandoned her instead of getting help. He later killed Tina Carter after she became suspicious of his abuse towards Chantelle. Gray also murdered Kush after discovering that Whitney Dean, whom he had become obsessed with, had feelings for Kush rather than him. Gray eventually began a relationship with Chelsea, who later became pregnant. She attempted to escape to Ibiza, but Gray managed to stop her. In 2022, Chelsea and Whitney both uncovered the truth about Gray's crimes, eventually leading to his arrest and imprisonment. He remained absent from the soap until his unexpected return in 2026. Toby-Alexander is now the latest EastEnders cast member to depart. Kellie Bright recently confirmed her own exit, while Michelle Ryan also left the soap earlier this year. EastEnders Denise Fox faces major setback in emotional cancer story. EastEnders Denise Fox and Jack Branning are left devastated next week after learning that Denise will need a stem cell transplant to improve her chances of overcoming cancer. Denise is still receiving treatment for leukemia and has been bravely battling the devastating illness since her diagnosis in June. However, when the mother of 3 discovers that her chemotherapy treatment has not been as successful as doctors had hoped, she is told that a stem cell transplant will now be necessary, leaving her completely stunned. "Thank goodness Jack is beside her when she receives the news," says our Walford source. But that doesn't make the situation any less painful. They are both heartbroken to discover that the treatment isn't working, especially after finding out that a stem cell transplant is the next option. The Fox Trumans already know that none of them is a suitable match for Denise. So what happens now? The week begins with bride-to-be Kim visiting Denise at the hospital to mark her hen party, which is planned for later that day. However, Kim quickly realizes that Denise is far too unwell to enjoy the celebrations. Kim therefore heads back to the square, where Kat encourages her to attend Cindy's party instead. This comes after Cindy and Max discover that their wedding is now set to take place on the same day as Kim and Howie's ceremony next month. It's incredibly difficult seeing Denise looking so vulnerable in front of Kim, our source explains. Under normal circumstances, Denise would be the one encouraging Kim, and making sure she enjoyed every moment of her hen party. Now that Denise requires a stem cell transplant, will doctors be able to find a suitable donor before it is too late? There are already major developments coming for the Fox-Truman family, with Kim set to discover in the next few weeks that Denise has a half-brother named Darnell, whose existence she had never known about. The family eventually makes contact with Darnell, and when they meet, they are introduced to his daughter Grace as well. However, the long-awaited reunion quickly becomes complicated when Darnell discovers the devastating truth about Denise's cancer diagnosis and the intensive treatment she is undergoing. As another side of the Fox-Truman family is revealed, the discovery could have major consequences for Denise and everyone around her. Will Darnell be able to help Denise in her desperate search for a stem cell donor? EastEnders Lily Slater receives bad news ahead of emotional Joel scenes. EastEnders Lily Slater is set to receive some upsetting news before sharing several emotional moments with Joel Marshall. The continuing mystery has centered on who attacked Joel in the square after the teenagers tied him up, with someone eventually freeing him before he was struck on the head with a hammer. Lily later admitted that she was the person who unlocked Joel. In recent scenes, Amy confessed to DC Craig Ingram that she was actually responsible for attacking him. In episodes airing next week, Lily is left heartbroken after receiving disappointing exam results. Despite her distress, she has an honest conversation with Craig, and the pair agree that they should remain friends. It's GCSE results day for Walford's teenagers next week, but Lily is devastated when she discovers how she performed in her exams. An EastEnders source revealed she has experienced far more than most teenagers her age, and now she is left questioning what direction her life will take. However, there is also a positive moment, as Lily and Joel finally decide to put the recent events behind them and move forward. Lily has shown more understanding towards Joel than many of her friends, so could she become an important new source of support for the controversial character? Next week's episodes will also see tensions escalate between Amy and Joel when the pair have a heated confrontation in the square. During an already stressful period, Amy once again meets Craig as their troubling storyline continues. But does Craig genuinely have Amy's best interests in mind? Or could his intentions be more concerning than they appear? And will those closest to Amy eventually recognize his suspicious behavior? Craig is also set to face a serious complaint next week, resulting in his suspension and removal from the investigation into Joel's attack. Meanwhile, Ross is angered after discovering that Amy has confronted Joel. He later defends his son in front of Amy before inviting Joel to join him and Vicky for a movie night. EastEnders is broadcast from Monday to Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on BBC One. Episodes are also available to stream on BBC iPlayer, with most installments being released early at 6 a.m. before their scheduled television airing.